minutes of proceedings of 9 and 10, video recordings of the plenary of 9 and 10 June, and Hansard records of the same period. Also included in the document for your information are minutes of previous meetings of the subcommittee. So the presiding officer on the day compiled a report of what transpired on the 2 days. And I will now ask the Secretary to the National Assembly to take us through the reports. Dade Kaso, please go ahead.
Thank you, DS, Deputy Speaker, and good morning to honorable members. Indeed, sir, I will do that, just to indicate that the two reports have been made available to the honorable members. So I will not seek to go verbatim through the reports, except to say that the reports deal with members who are removed from the chamber in terms of Rule 73. And I wish to just read what Rule 73 says. Rule 73.1, if a member refuses to leave the chamber when ordered to do so by the presiding officer, in terms of Rules 70 and 71, the presiding officer must instruct the sergeant-at-arms to remove the member from the chamber. And if the sergeant-at-arms is unable to remove the member on his or her own, the Parliamentary Protection Services may be called upon to assist to remove a member from the chamber. And sub 5 of that provides that no member may interfere with the removal of another member from the chamber. And in the event that that does happen, sub 6, that the speaker may instruct that the member who interferes should also be removed. And then if I were to jump to rule sub 12 of that rule, it says that whenever a member is physically removed from the chamber, in terms of this rule, the circumstances of such removal must be referred by the speaker for within 24 hours for consideration to a subcommittee of the Rules Committee appointed for that purpose. Hence, we are here today, and this is a subcommittee that is dealing with that. Now, the subcommittee is provided for in Rule 203, in fact, from 201, and I would just like to read the mandate of the subcommittee. 2031, the subcommittee must consider the circumstances of the physical removal of a member from the chamber as reported to it by the speaker in terms of Rule 73.12, taking into account all relevant aspects, including A, the conduct of the member concerned, B, the ruling by the presiding officer, and C, the manner in which the member was removed. And of course, the subcommittee may exercise those powers contained in Rule 167. Now, Rule 167 deals with the general powers of committees. But point 3 is important of Rule 203. It says the subcommittee's mandate in considering the circumstances referred to it does not extend to disciplinary proceedings against a member, nor a formal review of the presiding officer's ruling. The subcommittee must report its findings to the Rules Committee within 10 days, including any recommendations it may make based on those findings. When we did our calculations with colleagues, I think the 10 days will expire on the 28th next week. Now, Deputy Speaker, indeed, as I indicated, the Speaker has given detailed reports on this matter, and the Speaker does reiterate in her reports, and as borne out by the Hansard and the tapes, that the removal of the members from the chamber was not done before first exhausting other mechanisms. And of course, we know that the Speaker has also received allegations by members and allegations by staff. That is a separate process. It's not a matter to be dealt with by this committee in terms of assault and possible gender-based violence. On the 9th of June 2022, the following members were removed physically from the chamber, 5 members: Honorable Ntlangwini, Honorable Matumba, Honorable Mafanya, and Honorable Tafeni, and Honorable Matulelwa. And on the 10th, the following 12 members were removed: Honorable Mare, Chira, Tambo, Matulelwa, Tafeni, Motwendi, Tlangwini, Yako, Madrokwe, Madlingozi, Matumba, and Mkonto. Now, what is important to highlight, honorable members, is that the rule that generally leads to the removal of members from the chamber is Rule 7 or Rule 70. This rule reads as follows. I can just get quickly to it. If the presiding officer is of the opinion that a member is deliberately contravening a provision of these rules, or that a member is disregarding the authority of the chair, or that a member's conduct is grossly disorderly, he or she may order the member to leave the chamber immediately for the remainder of the day sitting. We always have to explain this, that members are not necessarily removed for what they say, but they are removed for disobeying the directive of the chair to withdraw what they say or to desist from what they are doing. Now, Section 58(1)(a) of the Constitution, as honorable members will be aware, provides that cabinet members and members of the NA have freedom of speech in the Assembly, subject to its rules and orders. The Powers and Privileges Act states inter alia that a member is guilty of contempt of Parliament if the member improperly interferes or impedes the exercise or performance by Parliament or a House or committee of its authority or functions, or fails or refuses to comply with an instruction by a duly authorized staff member, or willfully fails or refuses to obey any rule, order, or resolution of the House. Now, Rule 26, and I'm about to finish now, provides that in exercising the authority, the Speaker, provided by the Constitution, the legislation, and the rules, the Speaker must, amongst others, maintain and preserve the order of and the proper decorum in the House, and is responsible for the strict observance of the rules of the House, and must decide questions of order and practice in the House, such a ruling being final and binding as provided in Rule 92 of the rules. The Speaker must act fairly and impartially and apply the rules with due regard to ensuring the participation of members of all parties in a manner consistent with democracy. Now, while the ruling of the Speaker or the presiding officer is final, members have the mechanism of approaching the Rules Committee in the event that they are unhappy with the principle of the ruling by the Speaker. Now, Rule 67 is also very important. It provides that whenever the presiding officer addresses the House during a debate, any member then speaking or offering to speak must resume his or her seat, and the presiding officer must be heard without interruption. And the last rule I just wish to quote, Deputy Speaker, is Rule 69, which provides that members may not engage in grossly disorderly conduct in the House and its forums, including deliberately creating serious disorder and disruption in any manner whatsoever, physically intervening, preventing, or obstructing, or hindering the removal of a member from the House who has been ordered to leave the House, persisting to make serious allegations against a member without adequate substantiation, or acting in any other way to the serious detriment of the dignity, decorum, or orderly procedure of the House. Deputy Speaker, that's my summary. Indeed, if we need to go into the details of each of the reports, and we are open to do that. And again, if we do need to play the tapes of the events of that day, we're also ready to assist the subcommittee with that exercise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, there's the report and the foundation for our meeting this morning. And I would like to hear you out so that you give us an indication. We presume that you received all documents, including minutes. Minutes were for information, but also the minute of the day, the 2 days in question, including Hansard and the others that were there to remind us where appropriate. My assumption, you will prove me otherwise, is that you've looked at those and some of you were present at the meeting. I was unfortunately not there. But so let's get to hear your views and give us guidance on whether you are noticing any violation of the rules by the presiding officer and or whether the ruling is as according to the rules as read out to us now, and whether there was justification for that. Can we get your opinion? Who would like to start? Please indicate your intention to speak as usual.
I can help you with the names, sir, if you are not
Please
seeing.
go ahead. I'm not. Let me just check. Okay, I can see now. Let me see. I see Becky Khadebe from the ANC, Honorable Brett Heron, Natasha Mazzoni, Ahmed Sheikh Imam, Steve Swart. Yeah, in that order. Can we give you a chance? Please go ahead in that order. Honorable Khadebe.
No, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. First of all, I really appreciate the reports which were provided by the NA table for the occurrences of that day. And the reports reflect actually what has transpired. And the reports also reflect the violations of the various roles which we are having within Parliament, and also the Powers and Privileges Act of Parliament as it is. So what is clear, Chair, is that those things which are there in the reports, they did occur. Actually, it was a set day on those 2 days that the democratically elected representatives of the people were almost challenged not to hear the president. They were also almost stopped for executing their duties, which is a gross violation of the Powers and Privileges Act. What is also very important out of that is that the Rule 69 was repeatedly quoted upon in the House, that it was broken into, because as the rule is very clear that the member of the cabinet who is in the House enjoys the privileges of the members of Parliament, even if that person is not the member of Parliament like the president. But when he's in the House there, he enjoys all the privileges of the members of Parliament. So I think that the rights of the president, where the dignity of the president was assaulted on that day, because it was repeatedly accused of things like fraud, like money laundering, like the thief, whatever it is, without any substantive motion which is put, which was tabled by the members who were accusing that. But what is worse is that the sacred place in front of the mace was also invaded, intentionally so, by the members of the party which started the chaos. I think that there's enough evidence that for those people who were there in the House, we saw it, we saw the various violations which were there. But what I'd really like to appreciate at this point in time is that of all the 10 parties which were there, the 9 parties agreed upon that on the second day that the process or the president was going to respond to his speech, and then the people of the Republic were going to hear the president which they elected. But what is bad about this issue is that it is demeaning to the Parliament itself, because when there is an order, when a program of Parliament is adopted, the entire nation looks forward to that proceedings or to the proceedings of Parliament. A precise time is given. So you find that the entire nation is glued on the, but after an hour, they start drifting off. So it means that the dignity of Parliament itself is being undermined. So I think what we have to do as this committee is that this matter must be referred to the Powers and Privileges Committee so that it deals thoroughly with it. I don't know whether, because I was part of that, that's why there's no need for me to look even at any video footage because I was there. But if there's any other member here who was not there on that day, if that person requests the footage, I think that person must be given so that it cannot be said that we didn't look at all the corners or all the aspects of the case. But I think that the speaker was correct in her rulings, and the various political parties were correct with their intervention in trying to ensure that the president of the Republic speaks with the people of the Republic. Because when he's speaking in Parliament, it does not only speak to the members of parliament, it's speaking to the entire country, even to the international community. So if we are going to be portrayed as the parliament of the republic that was just a bunch of rascals, I think that is our duty as the parties of which are represented in parliament to ensure that the dignity of the country is upheld. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Brad Heron.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Good morning. I won't be long. I think the referrals from the Speaker are accurate. I was there. I was sitting amongst some of the members that were removed. But regardless of what I saw, I think the Speaker's reports are detailed enough for us to support those reports as accurate. If anything, I think the Speaker exercised great restraint in both during the sitting, but also in the writing of the reports, the referrals to us, because the referrals don't really fully capture the extent of the violence that took place in the House on those 2 days. But my input is that the reports are accurate, I think, and the referrals are appropriate, and there should be no hesitation of this subcommittee in supporting that they proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Sheikh Imam.
I believe it was Honorable Mazzoni.
I think it's Honorable Mazzoni first.
Yes, yes, Natasha, it's you.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Sheikh. You're a real gentleman.
Absolutely.
Deputy Speaker, yes, I agree wholeheartedly with the reports. I also agree that great restraint that I'm afraid I would not have been able to show was shown. I think we saw an outbreak of violence, the like of which we hadn't seen for many a time. As Mr. Castle said, there were events happening outside that many of us were privy to see, and we can bring those up when this matter is referred to the Powers and Privileges Committee, which I think it should be done ASAP. I fully agree with the fact that the sacrosanct space in between on the actual floor of Parliament was crossed, and that in all the time I've been in Parliament and during all the time that we've had this sort of newly introduced chaos has never once been breached. So it shows a new level of low that we have to make sure never happens again. I saw the personal physical attacks, and I saw the antagonism that was shown towards the presiding officers, as well as the Sergeant at Arms, who did everything in his power and with his team to make it a peaceful removal. And I saw the deliberate attempts to cause havoc and violence. My members were also involved in the violence that ensued, with water bottles being thrown at them and water being thrown on them. I myself was hit on the back of my neck, which is visible on the videos. So you'll see me, who's just sitting there minding my own business. Even I got involved in a little bit of violence, and I still maintain the restraint, which we all have to do, not to stand up and respond to that kind of violence and that kind of disorderly and gross behavior. And Speaker, my last point is this. We all adhere to Section 36 of our Constitution whenever we deal with any law or any rulings that we make. And Section 36 limits all our rights that we have in the Constitution. And the fact is, we were there to listen to the answer of a president to which we had posed questions and to which we'd had a full debate. And I feel that Section 36 of the Constitution was also grossly violated in my rights, my party's rights, and the rights of South Africans in having the right to hear the answer that the president was going to give to the Republic, given the questions answered to them. So I believe that I also have, and in fact, Parliament, I together with all the members of Parliament, we have a right to claim that our constitutional right to hear the answer of the president was taken away from us. And I think that is also something that we need to look at very closely. I think the reports are very eloquently written. I think they capture exactly what happened on the day. The videos are there. I don't think we need to replay them. I think that we were disturbed enough by what we saw, and I fully agree with the process that this matter should be taken forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Sheikh Imam, it's your turn now.
Thank you very much.
You are going to be followed by Honorable Steve Swart. Yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Yes, I also was the privilege of being in the House. So from my perspective, there is no need for any video or anything, but I must thank the Congress for the report that was made available. But having been in the House and observed exactly what has happened, I must admit that the Honorable Speaker did everything in her power to try and bring law and order, taking into consideration that there were millions of people that were watching what was actually happening. And this is the highest decision-making body. And when all failed, trying to bring law and order, the last resort for her was to ask members to leave. Even that failed, because members were then demanding, and I'm sure you're going to be able to see that on the video and things, members were demanding, bring the protection service, bring it, because they were refusing to actually go. And this is totally unacceptable. While we all have constitutional rights, let us not forget that the House has rules. You still have to comply with the rules of the House. And that did not happen. But very importantly, Honorable Deputy Speaker, people in this country, some of them don't even have water. But look at the water that is paid for with taxpayers' money, how it was abused and thrown around, assaulting people with bottles of water cannot be accepted. In fact, there was a danger or a risk that it could have got absolutely violent, because one member was actually banging the desk, the actual table, to such an extent you could feel the anger in this particular member. And what if it got totally out of hand? Like Honorable Mazzoni said, some of them were assaulted. I mean, can you imagine, Honorable Deputy Speaker, sitting there and watching your protection services being treated the way they were, with their hair being pulled out and things? It was shocking conduct, to be honest with you. So we believe that the Honorable Speaker did everything to try and bring law and order, gave many opportunities, more opportunities that you're actually entitled to try and get us to get the House going again. And when all failed and she had no option, she had to get them to leave. So yes, indeed, we think there is no need for any reports, further reports, any videos. This matter should now go forward in terms of its investigation. Thank you very much, Deputy.
Thank you very much. Honorable Steve Swart.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Morning to colleagues. I was also in the House at the time, and indeed I share the sentiments of the previous speakers that this was a very sad day, given the new low of violating the sacrosanct place in front of the mace. Again, I've never seen this in my 23 years in Parliament. I have studied the detailed reports by the Speaker. I'm in total agreement with the manner which he dealt with the issues in accordance with the rules of Parliament, and the fact that the grave disorder, bearing in mind that in terms of Rule 26, the Speaker must maintain and preserve the order and proper decorum in the House. And I think it is very incisive when you do read the report, the concluding observations, paragraph E, which are very insightful, where the Speaker indicates that in respect of the specific events on 10 June and those of the preceding day, it is evident that there was on the part of certain members a deliberate and sustained effort to disrupt proceedings in a wholly undemocratic and unconstitutional manner. And due to the disruptions, a sitting that would ordinarily have lasted no more than 1.5 hours lasted for more than 4 hours. And I'm totally in agreement. Our rights as members of Parliament were grossly violated to hear the President's response. As the Honourable Khadebi pointed out, all other parties wanted to hear the President's response, the 9 other parties there. Our rights were infringed, and we are in total agreement that this matter should be referred to the Power and Privileges Committee and that it is not necessary to watch the video. We have received full reports and we were there on the day. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Swart. Let me give Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I'm in complete agreement with what has been said by the colleagues previously. All the people on this meeting are people that have very busy schedules and have very busy programs. And our time should not be wasted. And the same happened on the day when our time was wasted for hours. It's not a coincidence what happened. It was a clearly stated objective. It was announced in public beforehand that that was going to be what is going to happen on that day. And I think the reports are absolutely correct. I think we must make sure that when this is referred to the Powers and Privilege Committee, that each and every contravention of the rules, each and every one, must be referred to the Ethics Committee and needs to be dealt with. I've got no doubt that the Speaker maintained immense constraint. I don't think I would have been able to do that if I was in the chair at that stage, with all due respect. But there's no doubt in my mind that the correct procedures were followed, and I think we should proceed immediately. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Jafta.
No, Deputy Speaker, I also, there is no need for the bit of future facts physically in the House, but that happened on the 2 days. And also agree with the members that the Honourable Speaker did everything in her power to prevent the violence that could have happened or that happened on that 2 days. So I also concur with the members. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me ask, is there anybody who, did we receive any representations from the party from which these members come from at all in writing, or an apology for not attending the meeting? And they were notified about today's meeting as well?
So they were notified. My colleagues, I checked that yesterday as well. They were notified. The EFF was notified, you say, and
Okay.
And we have received no apologies in terms of today's meeting or yesterday's.
All right. Honorable members, thank you very much. It's very clear, and thank you for indicating that you don't need to go through the videos, because many of you were there and you concur with the report of the Speaker, that you find in fact that all rules applicable, I would assume, including the oath that members also sign, were violated in the conduct of members, and as indicated, and therefore that we find no other way but to refer the matter to the Powers and Privileges Committee to consider this, including an indication that this is me now, also saying that if these things were even said in public, that this was to happen, sounds to me like an aggravating factor, the deliberateness of the actions that took place there. So let's agree that it will be referred to the Powers and Privileges. Is there any opposition to that or any amendment?
Just to indicate that certainly that will be the recommendation of the subcommittee to the Rules Committee.
Yes.
Which says that the matter must serve before the Powers and Privileges Committee. Forward.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. In other words, there isn't any opposition to that, so we take it's agreed to. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, honorable members. And we do respect your time. Thank you very much. We appreciate that we were able to meet this time around without hassle. Thank you very much.
Deputy Speaker, In
Yes, sir.
the event that we may need to meet quickly,
Yes.
maybe the report will indicate that, but we'll discuss that with yourself. And there may not be a need. We may just need to circulate the report.
Yes, in fact, by round robin, so that members, as soon as they receive a report, that they indicate their agreement or otherwise with the report as drafted, so that we can proceed with appropriate speed.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, honorable members. Please go back to your constituencies. Tell them we love them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, DS.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Stay healthy. Stay well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll do absolutely. You too.
We'll just ask our staff to remain behind, table staff to remain behind.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Please remove YouTube stream. Or cause it to be removed.